Okay. It's Saturday morning, right, in a unit in the Maltings, Stansted Abbotts. I am joined by Lee on my right. I wanted to look at something that I'm not even sure is a real thing, okay? Happiness.
Oh, yep.
Okay, everyone bandies the word happiness around. Oh yeah, no, I'm happy. Happiness, what we're striving for is happiness. Right, like it's like this golden chalice of wonderment to head towards. And I'm wondering whether okay, here's my concept. Happiness is transient.
Yep.
Right? So most of us, I mean, you do it, I do it, George does it, we all set ourselves goals and we reach those goals if we're lucky, and then I, as a human being, do not get a sense of euphoria from that. What I get from that is, okay, I need to, what do I do now?
Find another goal.
Yeah, find another goal. So, I mean, there must be, I don't want to make out that I'm a miserable old man, but I mean, you know, if the cat fits kind of thing, you know, but, well, okay, so here I go. I set myself a goal to do child psychology level 2, TQ UK, right?
Yep.
And I got the certificate.
Yep.
Now, I knew what that envelope was as soon as it landed on the mat.
Yep.
But I thought it involved Samuel, right? And that process of him opening it, me saying it's a letter bomb, that's why you're opening it, made me laugh. And then, but then that certificate gave me some joy.
Yeah.
But then, you know, 3 minutes later, it's gone. You know, you just move on.
Yep.
So I'm struggling with the concept of happiness. What is happiness to you? Yeah. What is happiness to you, though?
To me?
Yeah. Do you know?
Is it? No, I think you're right. I don't think it's a permanent state. I don't think you can say, "Are you happy?" And I don't think anyone can be. I think you do that, don't you?
Yeah. But why is there no? Okay, sorry, I interrupted you. But
that's right. I don't. Yeah, I don't think the target should be happiness, because you're never going to be permanently happy. You're never going to be permanently depressed, unhappy, whatever you want the opposite to be. I think the secret is to maintain something in the middle, and appreciate the happiness and accept the sadness, if that's not too obtuse.
It's not obtuse at all. Accepting sadness, is that the opposite of happiness? Wow. My brain is all over the place at the moment. So let's look at.
I think a lot of psychologists, psychiatrists, whatever, experts. There's this thing about leaning into stuff, isn't it? Accept the state that you're in and just appreciate where you are. Feel it, work through it, and it will change. Right? You tend not to be in one or other state for any great length of time. No. So don't expect to be happy all the time.
No.
And don't wallow in sadness for too long.
I think a lot of that depends on the human being you are. If you have a propensity for depression or a propensity for sadness, you know, then you can. It's not necessarily wallowing, is it? It becomes the norm. It becomes the kind of situation that you actually feel comfortable in.
Yeah, I think you can impact it though. You can either decide that that's where you're going to be, or you can decide to fight against it.
No, absolutely, yeah.
But some you know, through grief, for example, I wanted to be sad for losing my mum and my dad, and I don't think that's a bad thing to be sitting in it for a bit.
I think you have to make peace with the situation before you can move on.
Yeah,
in a way, but peace is a open-ended concept.
Yeah, but the target of being happy is the same as the target of being successful in my eyes. They're fairly vague things, and we're told we should be aiming for financial success or whatever.
I think this is my problem. So are we looking for societal happiness, or are we looking for individual happiness? Because I don't really want a politician telling me what I should be striving for, or society's norms telling me where I'm going, which is why presumably my life is the chaos pit that it is. How do you know when you've achieved how do you know when you've achieved happiness in that moment? I mean, is it just some kind of euphoria? Is it some kind of peace? Is it some kind of calm? What is it? Because
Well, for me, happiness is directly linked with laughing. Happiness rather than success. I know we're talking about happiness, aren't we?
Yeah.
So happiness to me, I guess, I'm at my, those times, and they're all too rare, sadly, in my life, when you're crying so much, laughing so much that you're crying and you can barely breathe. That's the pinnacle of happiness for me. There's something that sometimes clicks in my head, and I'm just uncontrollably laughing. My eyes are closed, I've got tears streaming down my face, I can barely catch my breath. That's the pinnacle of happiness. I don't expect to be in that state for very long, but I love that. That is just the pinnacle.
Right. So then, playing devil's advocate, is that happiness, or is that just a moment where comedies hit you, or what I'm looking for is a definition of happiness. What is that? So you reach this pinnacle of that moment where you're laughing. That's happiness, because basically what you're saying is there's no darkness. You're just in that moment of happiness. Okay. Well, that's fair enough. Okay. I want to look at.
Which is what I think that's my ultimate point, is that it is a momentary thing. You can be a happy person or a sad person, but happiness as an experience or as an emotion is something that is there for a period of time, probably quite a short period of time. Whereas I think if you're looking for something permanent, it's more contentment, I think, really, rather than happiness. I think happiness is an experience, a reaction, an emotion that is caused by something else, which I think is very different to whether you are happy inside, whether you are... to me, that's more contentment. That's more happy with your lot rather than happiness. Yeah.
I suppose it would be better to describe the strive for contentment than the strive for happiness, because I think what you're saying and where I'm going is that actually happiness is not the concept that we're striving for.
No.
So achievement, contentment, but also, it's important to have goals. Even if your goals are staying in the middle lane, working for whoever, getting a paycheck, and you're happy and content with that. Right, that's great. But I will look at that and go, Jesus Christ, are you bored or what? And that's my problem, not theirs.
Yeah, but you're right that the goal isn't the secret, is it? The goal isn't what will bring you happiness. I mean, if you look at running, for example, we do various races and stuff. You get to the end of the race, and you're happy with yourself for achieving that. But it's not. That doesn't last very long. Same as when you want to purchase something, right? I've still got this notion that one day I'll have an AC Cobra, right? But part of me doesn't want to get one, because I know once I've got one, it'll be, it's just a car.
That concept of never meeting your heroes?
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because also, I can't remember who said this, but somebody on the television was banging on about the fact. No, it wasn't. It was my mate, Sean. He said, look, I've driven every car there is to drive. And he has.
Yep.
And he says, I've been very wealthy. I've been on my arse, and I've been, as I am now, in the middle, and I'm okay. I've got money. I can pay my bills. And he just said, I always wanted, like we've said, a Bentley.
Yeah.
And he had the opportunity to own a Bentley Continental. So he bought it.
Yep.
And he got in it thinking that this was nirvana. This was the pinnacle of his car existence. He's a mechanic, and he rebuilds and restores cars.
Yep.
And then he just said, I turned the key, and it meant nothing. Chris Love has said virtually the same thing. He was a car dealer too, believe it or not.
Right.
And he was selling high-enders, and he just said, I've had the nicest cars there are, but it doesn't mean anything now because I've done it. What's left? Right, so now I'll strive for a Bugatti Veyron, and then I'll get in that, and you just think, well, it's just a car.
Yeah, the only thing that I cling on to is that, as you know, I hired an AC Cobra for my 50th birthday weekend.
Okay, yes.
And every time I put my foot down, it made me smile. And my thought is, the thing that I cling on to is that if I've got one in the garage, every time I get in it, it'll make me smile. I don't know if it will or not. My current car does, because of the link to my mum and everything, and it sort of bought with their inheritance and that sort of stuff. But I am slightly cautious that the dream may just die if I get that car.
Well, I think what happens is as well, you get blasé about what you have.
Yeah.
I mean, little things like when I bought a pair of these microphones, right? They're fucking expensive, right? For me, anyway. I mean, they're not the best ones ever, and these ones belong to George. Mine are upstairs in a drawer, usefully. Oh no, they're not, are they? They're on my desk. Anyway, so when I bought that, it was something I really wanted. I'd use SM, whatever they're called, 58s or whatever. Yeah, and you know, before for years. And then I got these proper podcast mics, and that legitimised me in my own head, right? Now, that legitimising meant that I didn't look poor. I didn't look like I was doing everything on a shoestring. Also, with his amazing 4K cameras, we even I, can look good on occasion, in the right angle when the moon is full. That gives me happiness. I suppose. Or is it just a feeling that that's cool, great?
But yeah, okay. So that's different. You've purchased something that is going to better your experience, your podcasts, your
But I've achieved enough money to buy that. So there's achievement.
Yeah, but you're not buying it because it's expensive, are you? You're buying it
because it's the right thing.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking with if I get the Cobra one day, I'm not buying it because it's an expensive car. You know, I'm not going to buy a real one because they're hundreds of thousands of pounds. If I get one, it would be still a decent amount of money. But I'm not buying it for its financial value in my head, and this may be completely wrong. I'm buying because I've always loved them, and I think it will give me a source of happiness continually, not by owning it,
just in the moment of using
driving it.
Okay, so then right, so you can see a plan for continued happiness from that, because that every time you start it up, it's a big V8, unless you put a V12 in it. But they all make this rush noise that we all love, right? Motorcycles as well. When I bought my first Harley,
I bet
it was a dyno, and it was old, but it was a Harley, and it was my arse on that and my face in the wind. And then it fell apart as I was literally riding down the motorway one day. The gear selector just wobbled its way out, bounced down the road. I had to pull in, walk back up the road, pick it up, slam it back in, hope I get home. I did get home, and then it got fixed and it was all fine. But yeah, there are things that trigger, but happiness is too much. It's not happiness, is it? Is it? What is... This is my problem.
That's the point. What is happiness?
What the hell is happiness? What is happiness? Okay, you go when you're a kid, right, and you get your first job. Doesn't matter what it is, right? There's a sense of, one, you've done something good. Two, I've got a bit of cash in my pocket.
Yeah, I remember my first pay packet.
I don't. Oh, that's because my first pay packet when I was 11. And I swept the roads at Haileybury for the clerk of the works, and they paid me £5.50 an hour when I was 11. Now, either I've made that up, or Haileybury really is that rich. I genuinely did the job, and I was employed, and they gave me a brown envelope at the end of the week. It wasn't through the summer holidays. It wasn't every day. I wasn't allowed to work every day. I don't think
couldn't afford it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think that they realised how young I was either. So hopefully, actually, the clerk of the works and the bursar are both dead now. So you know, what are you going to do? That's kind of cool, isn't it? Yeah. So as a human being, I am confused by happiness. Okay, because I don't know what it is.
So is it a social construct then? Is it something that we're supposed to all aim for to keep us diverted from everything else that's going on in the world?
Right. When you have a societal system, there has to be some kind of societal control. Now, if I suggest to you on a government level, as a suited muppet who thinks I know it all, I suggest to you that your life's goal is to find happiness. Someone will ask, well, what is happiness? It's like, it depends who you are and what you feel. And they skirt around it, right? They'll turn the question and they'll slip out of it, right? That's how it feels to me, that happiness, just that word, right? Happiness and all of it entails. I am happy. You know, I see my son, I'm happy. I talk to my son after school and he's like, blah, 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 oh yeah, man, that in that moment, that's happiness. But I'm very calm, and I'm not thinking badly of anything. I'm not thinking well of anything. I'm thinking that's great. He's had a good day. We're all right. Or he's had a bad day, but he knows how to deal with it. My wife and I, we do these little projects every now and again. You know, like some, you know, set up another business or whatever, you know, just for the fun of it, and do all that. And in that moment, in the making of things, I am content. So the government telling me I'm striving, I mean, I know this is puerile. The government don't say you've got to walk around happy, but, you know, where does that social construct come from? Where does that you should be happy, that's what you deserve? Because all these Instagram quackers are going on about how you deserve happiness and you deserve this, and it's like, well, deserve and happiness. I mean, what are you talking about? Why do, you know, is this just a disjointed conversation of nonsense or what? But
it's an interesting concept, because you make a really good point. Is that everyone's striving for it, but do people really know what they're striving for? And is that the point?
Yeah, exactly. Right, so you've got a whole lot of Bible stories, right?
Yep.
And you've got all these really wonderful stories about how people do and how people find sin and how people, you know, turn against their brother. And then, you know, you've got the whole wrath of God bullshit. You know, and sorry, it's not bullshit, but it is bullshit. But, you know, you've got all of these stories that people take and find solace in the fact that there is an overall being holding on to you, right, personally. Okay? Now, I don't see that as truth. I see that as, right, you strive for this, you get rewarded by God. You won't be rewarded down here, but, you know, you get your reward in heaven. Because all of these open-ended concepts provide escapism for the people who are trying to control you in society.
And okay, so who are they then? Who's the ultimate controller?
Well, that's it, isn't it? Used to be church, king, whatever. There's, you know, let's look at the conspiracy theory side of things, right? Okay, so there is seen the major families like the Rothschilds and the whoever's. And the Rockefellers and all of that, and these fellas are hyper rich.
Yep.
Okay, so they collectively, these families have more money, you know, than the rest of the world put together. So it's seen that some people think that the money men own the world and they run politics the way they do. Right? That's a suggested opinion. But if that's the case, why are they letting Putin rattle his sword? Why are they letting people think?
That gets people to spend money, doesn't it? It's one of the biggest
earners. War
is war. Yeah.
Right? People are spending billions of pounds on developing something that could destroy themselves. And you're kidding yourself if you think you can launch nuclear weapons and come out of their bunker and everything's fine. What are you going to rule? The cockroaches? Because apparently, according to some, I can't remember it, Bad News, the band.
Oh, yeah.
Rick, yeah, they're the only things that come out of the apocalypse.
Oh, man, well.
And you know what? They're probably right. What annoys me, I think, is that because of the way my brain works, I don't know what happiness is, which doesn't detract from the good moments in my life. And I don't feel like I'm striving for happiness. I feel like I'm striving to be better educated now, to find ways to cope with the neurosis develop in your life. I'm moving forward, and as long as I'm moving forward, I think I'm all right.
Yeah, I think it possibly comes back to something that I mentioned on the last show, I think, of the ignore the shoulds. If you have in your head, I should, whatever, well, just have a little think about who's telling you should. Because if it's not you, you know, I should be a nice person. Okay, right, yeah. But I should earn this amount of money, or I should have a bigger house, or I should have a better car. Well, according to who? So I think it's sometimes worth checking that.
Is also achievable goals. I'll tell you now, I am 50 years old and I will never own a house because I do not have the money to do it. In reality, I pay a lot of rent, and so I could pay a mortgage, but because society has deemed that now money is this and you will pay 20% of your house first, and you will, you know, you're not going to do this, and then the mortgage prices can just go up by £600 a month just because we've decided that.
I don't know how how people of my daughter's generation are ever going to own a house unless they have a deposit given to them.
I do not have a parent who has lots of any money. You know, I've said this before. You know, when my dad goes, its likelihood is we'll probably get a bill.
Yeah.
And I'm all right with that. You know what? There's nothing. I've got two sisters, right, and they're both lovely. You know, this wouldn't happen, but I can't think of anything worse than standing in a courtroom, right, fighting over the scraps on the table. It's just fucking disrespectful. That money, or whatever it is that your parents have done and made and fought for and strived for and battled for, that's not yours, that's theirs. And then people just get ownership over that. So are you happy fighting over your parents' money when they've died, and what you should be doing is being respectful to them and sad, you know, and looking at the reality of your life? Because also, if my dad, I've been left some money once. My grandmother left me 13 grand, right? And it just happened to be able to be released on the day I was being arrested for non-payment of council tax, right? So, but what happened was because I had kidney failure, I was moved into a flat in Carradine Court in Hertford, in Seal Farm, in the Bronx. And what they didn't tell you is that all your benefits don't start from when you move in, they start from when they can be bothered to sign the paperwork.
Oh.
So, of course, it was all paid, and it was that because I couldn't function. I was messed up, man. And then I got a letter through the door saying, blah, blah, council tax. You haven't paid your first month, but you paid your subsequent months. And I'm like, oh, this is a mistake. And because I was ill, I didn't deal with it. And then I got a phone call from my dad saying, look, your grandmother's will, blah, blah. And I said, oh, that's funny, she hates me. And he laughed. And then the police came with a person from the council, like an enforcement agent. And I opened the door and I laughed. And I just thought, you know what, I've just come out of hospital, I don't give a shit. And then I looked at the copper and I said, look, if anyone's going to get moody or fruity or anything, right, I've just come out of hospital, I'm pretty fragile. And they went, okay, we'll have to come back and enforce it because we can't do it while you're ill. And I'm like, all right. So they did, they went away, and they were reasonable. The bailiff wasn't, he was just like, I don't want to be here, you know. And then what happened then is that the council officers decided that even though the council were the people in charge of making the payments and sorting it all out, they still didn't see their own discrepancy. Right? So I've been on that, but what was funny is that I phoned the lawyer in charge of all the money. I said, I don't suppose you could release £4,500 or whatever. Well, it can't have been. It must have been like 150 quid or whatever. 1 month's payment, they said it was. Yeah. So, and I just said, and she went, yeah, of course. What's the problem? I said, can you speak to this man? Who handed it to the copper. You know, and that memory makes me chuckle because it's funny, you know. I mean, it's funny, but it's funny when I'm laughing. Is that happiness? See, we've full circle.
To me, it is, yeah. Which is what I'm saying. It's a moment, isn't it?
Yeah. So why are we all so entrapped with finding happiness? Why are we all, you know, looking for? Well, we're not, suggestively, because I don't really think about it. What brought this all up? Yeah, was somebody just said to me, well, what would make you happy? The other day.
Miserable sod.
Yeah, but he just said, well, look, you know, all right, your skin, all right, and things like that, but look, things are looking better, you've got projects going on, you're doing all that. And I said, I don't know, I honestly, you know, my son being okay would make me happy. You know, my wife, you know, and my child.
Okay, so let's rewind then. So what does that mean, your son being okay? What does that mean?
What do you mean, what does it mean?
Being okay in what capacity? In having a job, growing up?
No, I mean, you know, every day to day he's coping.
Okay.
Because there are some days where, like any kid, you know, he got a bit bullied at one point and then, you know, you found all that. As long as he's happy in that, when I go down, right, I get up after everyone else because apparently they're more important than me and have to go to the bathroom first, which I find a little bit perturbing. But when I go downstairs, my son is one of two things. He is either totally engrossed in his Switch because he knows that if he gets up before us, he can do whatever he wants within reason. Yeah, so he's in that, or he's watching telly and he's eating his breakfast and he's happy and he's chilled. And you know, if there's a black cloud over his head, right? So that moment when you walk in and he's cool, he's just chilling and he's happy and he's got Cheerios stuffed in his face, or what, he doesn't eat Cheerios, but I couldn't think of another cereal. You know what I mean? That's that everyday happiness. Oh, that's a concept. Right, so everyday happiness. I'm not striving for anything, it's something that happens out of situation. So what you're doing, where you're going, how it's going. So in the moment you can feel happiness. But happiness is painted as this pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, isn't it? It's painted as this is how you achieve greatness. But nobody specifies what it is, because it will be different for every single human being.
Yeah. But and again, same as success, isn't it? We're told at school, you know, get good results, get good exams, get good O levels for my case, GCSEs, A levels, degree, whatever, and then you'll get a job, and then you'll be successful, and then you'll be happy. Well, that's all bollocks, isn't it?
I think it is all bollocks. I failed my A levels because I left Haileybury, went to Maida Vale College of Further Education, did English, chemistry and biology, where I was doing pretty well at Haileybury. Went into the first English lesson and they wanted us to write about the influences of King Lear and all of this. And I obviously God is a big influence in King Lear and you know, or they're looking at the person. I wrote, as a bit of a laugh, I wrote the same, well, I handed in the same essay I'd written at Haileybury that I got an A. He gave me a D and said that my understanding was blinkered in one direction. And I went, you fucking moron. So I literally stood up in the first day of the first class in English. I said, I don't think you can teach me, son, because I'm an arrogant prick. And he said, what on earth are you talking about? I said, I've come from a public school where they have a different way of things. Right, and I am no supporter of that. And you've completely changed everything that I've written and made. You've almost gone at it like you're spinning it badly. Well, that made me unhappy because I like being clever. I like succeeding in that. So then I left and got drunk for a few years, and then sold some things, did some stuff, and I'm 50 now, and I have a business, and I'm still alive. But you know, I mean, I'm not happy with my lot. I'm not happy where I live. I'm not happy with the car I drive. I'm not happy with any of that. But it doesn't matter to me, as long as I do have a roof over my head.
So, do you have an answer to the question the other day? What will make you happy? Because you're saying that you're not happy with what you've got, but you've just said you know you're never going to buy a house. I guess.
Yeah, no, it's.
So what?
It's okay. I said that wrong. It's not that I'm not happy with what I've got. It's just I don't care. So if I had a brand new Range Rover, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Because it's comfortable, but they're very expensive, right? If I had a better place to live, I would. That would make some relief in my family dynamic. Yeah. But I don't care. You know, it's not what drives me. So what I'm saying really is that probably the reason I don't have any money is because I'm not driven by it. But the rest of the world needs me to be driven by it so I can pay their bills.
Yeah, that's the thing that I find annoying. That despite the fact I don't want to be driven by that, got to earn money, got to whatever, I struggle to take a day off work because if I don't work, I don't earn money. Even though I could take more days off, I tend not to. And I sort of check myself more and more these days and go, well, why are you doing that? It doesn't stop me doing it. I do pause and go, well, just take my time off, you idiot.
I think the difference between young and older, especially if you work for yourself, is that realisation that you own and control your own life. Right? I'm very lucky not to live in a middle management world where some 22-year-old kid in a red tie and a white shirt is telling me how to breathe in and out. Because I tell you what would happen there. I think we all know what would happen there. But okay, if now I'm tentatively putting my foot in the pond of employment, like you know, with Walking with the Wounded, the chat I went for a job with them. Sadly, I did not get that, but the feedback was amazing. You know, but I don't want a job. I never even thought about getting a job until somebody in that organisation suggested it. But now I've thought, well, look, my tattoo shop, that's okay, that can run itself. If I do have a paying job, then I can still run both, I can still do both. Is that going to make me happy? I might be a bit fulfilled because working with veterans and working in a charity, providing and helping, because I think I have something blinking in the back of my head that says that I owe the world something for my past indiscretions. But is that me just justifying why I suddenly want to educate myself?
I don't know. I think doing good it brings benefit to the doer and the receiver of that goodness, doesn't it?
It does.
And that's, to me, that's the secret of a happy society, is just people being nicer to each other. I saw a thing. Do you know Simon Sinek? He's a online kind of psychologist-y type inspirational speaker sort of thing. And he was saying the other day that if I'm nice to someone, they feel good, and then they might thank me, and then I feel good. And he gave this scenario where he was nice to some person said thank you, so there's an oxytocin going on in both people. He said he walked down the road and someone said, I saw what you did, that was cool, that was really nice. So the person that's witnessed the goodness has benefited, right? So there's at least 3 people that benefited from that.
Yeah.
And if we all did that a bit more and didn't cut people up and weren't running late and weren't being an arsehole, then the whole of society would be better. So why don't we do that?
Because we are told from birth that it's the same thing with the war. It's adversaries. Like people are, even if you're best friends with someone, when you grow up, you're told that you have to be the one that wins. Well, not everyone can win. Not everyone can be the best at this and that. But what they could do, the social construct, if we change that, just when you walk past someone in the morning, right, just say good morning.
Yeah.
Right? I've taken to, when I go into a shop or speak to someone with a dog in the street, because usually, the dog comes to me because I can smell Lily or any of that, and I always finish the conversation with, have a good day, man. And they were like, oh yeah, have a good day. Right, so the way I look at it is, I say that to one person, that one person then levitates up to that level, right? Then they say good morning or they do whatever. Even if it just lasts that one day, there's going to end up being about 20 people who have a slightly better outlook on their day because somebody's acknowledged their presence and been nice to them.
Yeah, so the target there is more like happiness than earning money to get a bigger house.
So why is society based on that bullshit? I'll tell you why. Because government needs taxes. And taxes are earned from everyone doing everything at any time. I mean, that cup of coffee, I've been taxed 5 times before that arrives in my cup. So this is the trouble. The system's broken.
Yeah.
Right, democracy doesn't work. Who voted for Rishi Sunak? Because I didn't.
No.
Right? Also,
no, that's true.
And this is, people are going, oh, everyone says this, but it's not. It's a puerile view, but it's not. How the flipping heck can he relate to me? He doesn't give a flying monkeys whether I can pay my electric bill. Why would he? Right? And he's elected official that's supposed to act for us. The problem is the gap between them and us is now so huge that we're completely unrelatable to a lot of the MPs, especially the ones running the world. I mean, Eton educated, removed from the hoi polloi, put in a position of power from the start.
Yep.
How can you relate to me? How can you relate to my struggles? You can't. So how can you represent me? You can't. Did I vote for you? Did I fuck? So what's it going to take? And I know this sounds revolutionary, and I'm not a chaos theorist, and I don't believe in anything other than, it's a lot easier if the world is calm and serene around me so I can just get on with my crap, right? But what's it going to take?
But is it calm and serene? It's chaos everywhere at the moment.
Well, yeah, but my life, specifically my little bubble, because, I don't watch the news. No. I don't do that because mentally it drains me. Because there's so much stupidity. All you've got to do is go up to Putin and say, listen, shitface, you can't do this, right? If you destroy the world, you've got nothing to rule. Are you stupid? Right? So, I don't understand. I think, there you go. let's not look at the concept of happiness. Let's look at the whatever the word is, concept of stupidity. Okay, I own Russia, right? And some of Russia's been taken back and they've made themselves individual, you know, and they're doing pretty well, you know. Ukraine, pretty good, right, fuck that, I'm Russia, I'm having that back. That's a very simplified view for obvious reasons. Right, what's him stop him going to Poland next? And what's to stop him setting precedent by taking back things that used to be not his, but belonging to the USSR? Mm-hmm. Once he's allowed to set precedent, you can't stop him. No. And also, you know, we're making millions out of that. America's making millions out of that, selling weapons to whoever. And it's once the money machine turns, that's what controls everything. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil.
Absolutely is.
And I think the money that is running into weapons would be simply better off in my pocket.
Yeah. Yeah, you better buy your Bentley then, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I'm going to start my church and then I'll buy my Bentley. Okay, look, happiness. I've been pretty hard on that word.
Yeah.
I think that may be two things. One, vocalisation of my mental state at this point, because it's 8:30 in the morning on Saturday and I may or may not have had a drink last night. But what I think it really is frustration in the societal limits placed on us by government and societal values. Mm-hmm. And if we can't look at those as society, I as one man cannot change anything. But I as one man talking to you and then talking to you through that camera lens, if we have like-minded people that can build community, there's the word, right? Then together you can make change. If there are people who, and I'm not trying to start a political movement or do anything, but I'll say this now, right? You get 100 people in a room, they're obviously going to be able to do more than 10 people in a room.
Yep.
Right, so link the two concepts. Link the saying good morning and have a good day to me saying to you, can we not lobby local government with our opinions and see what happens? And you say to 10 other people, and I say to 10 other people, and George says to 10 other people. All of a sudden there's 30 people. Then those 10 people talk to 10 people, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So that same content of communication could build happiness if we change society. But you see, the trouble with that is if there are 4 big families running the world because they simply have the power to take something out, is it possible to change now?
Just make your society smaller. Make your circle smaller.
Yeah, but
don't worry about what's going on in Ukraine or wherever else.
No.
Just that to me is potentially the key to your individual happiness. Is don't reach out too far. Surround yourself with positive people. Surround yourself with your crew that have similar values to you. And worry less about the shoulds and worry less about what's going on outside of the stuff that you've got any control over.
Yeah, but that's my point. Not having control over. Now, I don't know if I'm a control freak. It wouldn't surprise me at all if I was. Right? But what I'm saying is, when will the time come when society as a whole actually realises that the system's broken?
I think we're on the cusp of it now. I think there's a lot of people that are saying the same thing. So, I don't have any faith in politicians.
Nobody does. There was just nobody voted.
No.
Everyone, and they'll go, oh, well, you're wasting your vote. We're not wasting our vote. What we're doing is limiting your ability to have margins, right? To have sort of majorities, to have decision-making power. The less people that vote, the less power you have, right? But politicians will tell you, your vote counts, you must vote. No, I don't need to vote. I don't need to vote for your system because basically your system's broken. And that's my choice. But, I mean, obviously, all the women who died fighting for their vote and all that, I'm not demeaning the vote. I am saying, however, that the concept is broken.
I don't really get into politics at all because of all of the previous statements. But there should, I think, still be a an ability to abstain, to physically. I know you can spoil your paper, but there should be. I don't want to vote for any of this. There should be the ability for the public to say, I don't comply. I object to this.
Well, they should. Yeah. What about a vote of no confidence on the ballot box? Because I don't believe in any of you idiots.
Yeah.
And
but when the people that are controlling it, they're not the ones that can make that decision as to whether we have that or not. You're never going to get it, are you? And there you go. There's your
right. So the only way to do that is to start your own party, fund your thing, get through and do everything in a kind of revolutionary kind of way. And we all know that revolution probably is not the answer, because the biggest bully boy in the room with the most guns and the most people following them will then take over. And then you've got a dictatorship, ladies and gentlemen. And that is the best place to end 50 and Coping today. Look, happiness is whatever you think it is, okay? If money makes you happy, good on you. I mean, I hope you get all you need. But also, if your family dynamic, if your friends, if your group, if your tribe, if your community makes you happy, then surround yourself with them and turn the television off. It's important for mental health for people to find the concept of peace. And if the ever changing face of what makes you happy, you can't quite put your finger on it, just keep moving forward. Keep setting your goals and keep providing for your families. I think that's all we can do at the end of the day, isn't it? Also, every time you hear a politician make a suggestion or put something through politics, question it. Even if you don't do anything, just question it in your head. How's that going to help? Because then more people might have a little think about the reality of democracy. 50 and Coping. See you next time.